Catching Landorus, Thundurus, Tornadus, and Enamorus is incredibly frustrating in Pokemon Legends Arceus. It wound me up way more than I'd like to admit a game designed for 7-year-olds could and should. So if you're having the same issues as myself, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'll be going through the easiest ways to catch each one of them and where to find them. So with that being said, let's get into it. Once you've completed the main storyline and begun the deified Pokemon quest, Cogita will meet you in the Galaxy Hall and tell you about 3 Pokemon that you'll need to find to complete your Pokedex. She'll tell you the location of each one and that you should find them, catch them, and return to her. These 3 Pokemon are of course Thundurus, Tornadus, and Landorus. We'll start off with Tornadus, which is a legendary flying type Pokemon. You'll find it in Alabaster Icelands, but only when there's a snowstorm. The way you can tell this is if it's both snowing and windy at the same time. You might have to rest at the campsite a fair few times before you get this weather, but it will eventually happen. I don't know whether this is just my case, but I kept resting until morning and it seemed to give me a snowstorm more often than any other time of day. Anyway, once you get one, head over to Bonechill Wastes and Tornadus will be roaming around near the Alpha Glalie. I would highly recommend taking out all the Glalie around this area before engaging with Tornadus, as you can see, there'll be a huge pain to deal with once you're trying to catch it. Once they're out the way, you'll be met with an enraged Tornadus, who will throw gales of wind at you if you get too close. To be honest, your best bet is to try and get as close as possible though, because as soon as it throws the wind at you, you'll need to hit it with Pokeballs to stun it. This is pretty tricky as there's no way of knowing where the gales are going to be thrown, but you'll just have to try and dodge them as well as you can and eventually you'll land a couple of hits on it. Once you do, it will be stunned briefly. Here's where you'll want to send in a Pokemon as quickly as possible to battle it. The rest is fairly straightforward. Weaken it and catch it. Don't worry too much though, as if you kill it, it will respawn again, but you'll have to return to Jubilife City in order for it to do this, so try your best not to. The second legendary is Thundurus, which is an electric and flying type Pokemon. To encounter it, you'll need to head over to Cobalt Coastlands and make your way to Sands Reach. Bear in mind that just like Tornadus, the weather will play a part. It will need to be stormy in order for it to appear. Again, you'll need to rest at the campsite until this happens. Once you get to Sands Reach, Thundurus will be roaming around just north of it in the sea. It will be surrounded by Gyarados, including an alpha one. So much the same as before, take these out before the battle. This one is a little bit trickier as you're riding Baskia Legion the entire time. Thundurus will throw the same gales of wind at you as Tornadus did, so you should know what to expect. As you did before, try your best to dodge these and get as close as possible to throw Pokeballs at it. It will take you a little while before you stun it, but once you do, it's just a case of sending in a Pokemon as quickly as possible and trying to catch it. I'm gonna have to come clean here. I thought I recorded myself fighting and catching Landorus, but since then, the file seems to have magically disappeared. Don't worry though, I'll still tell you where to find it and what to expect. Fortunately, Landorus is actually the easiest one to find and catch. You'll need to head over to Obsidian Fieldlands in any sort of weather. This is the only one of the 3 where it doesn't matter. Then make your way to Raminus Islands at the very bottom of the map. Here you'll find an Alpha Infernape, which you should probably catch or take out before starting. Landorus will just be roaming around between the trees, so you shouldn't have too much trouble spotting it. The fight will follow the same structure as the others. It'll attack you with wind and do its best to avoid you, but seeing as you're a pro at this by now, you can stun it with Pokeballs as it attacks you, and then send in a Pokemon once you're able to. None of these legendaries are actually that hard to catch if you use Ultra Balls. I weakened them all down to yellow health and caught them in pretty much my first try. Okay, so once you have the 3 legendaries, you'll need to rank up each of their research levels to 10. This is actually not too hard to do. Simply check their Pokedex entry and complete the various tasks that are asked of you. I took a quick trip down to Obsidian Fieldlands and decimated some level 3 Bidoof for a bit and I was done. Once they're all level 10, you'll need to pay Cogita a visit in the Ancient Retreat. Upon talking to her, she will reveal that there is in fact one more legendary that you'll want to catch, Enamorus. It will actually appear right in front of you after she says this, then you'll be told to go to the Crimson Mylands in order to encounter it. So now you've unlocked the ability to encounter Enamorus, you'll want to head over to the aforementioned Crimson Mylands. Once you get there, head over to the Scarlet Bog and you'll find Enamorus flying about in any weather. As with the first 3, there will be an alpha Pokemon and other types of Pokemon knocking about, including a pretty annoying alpha Skuntank, so make sure to deal with them first. This is definitely the hardest encounter of the 4, as it's a lot harder to dodge the attacks due to the water surrounding you. To get around this, I'd recommend mounting Weirdeer and doing your best to get as close as possible before unmounting and throwing a Pokeball at it. I actually had to run away a few times to get my health back, to make sure that it didn't actually knock me out, as it all got a bit overwhelming. Eventually though, I managed to land a hit and stun it, then the rest was as easy as before. Quite a lot of all of these encounters is luck, but if you use the tips that I've given you, you should give yourself the best chance of catching them quicker. So that was our guide to catching all 4 of the Genie Pokemon in Legends Arceus. These are definitely tricky to locate and catch if you don't know what you're doing, but it's weirdly a nice challenge as Pokemon has been very easy in recent years. If this guide helped you, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and make sure to let us know about your frustrations with these legendaries in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.